big changes coming to NFL Red Zone now that it is on ESPN. Me no likey. I don't like that. But NFL fans are furious. They are absolutely, positively furious. They're not funny. They're not clever. Hell, the only time it's even close to clever, and they're not anymore, is during the Super Bowl. And I got to tell you, NFL fans, nobody more so than maybe Clay Travis or me or others, will get on the ass of ESPN. We will, but don't get on the ass of ESPN for NFL Red Zone having commercials. It's not starting this year. By all accounts, it is not due to ESPN. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this is what Scott Hansen had to say to our boy Pat McAfee on big changes coming to NFL Red Zone now that it is on ESPN.
Can you give us a preview of what it's going to sound like on Sunday there?
Yeah.
I'm going to close my eyes.
Oh, man. Let me before I do it, can I just say one thing? When it comes, I'm the host of the show.
What if I said no?
Right?
What if I would have said no right there? You said, can I say one thing?
I'd run through the stop sign. The business folks handle the business.
Of course.
And I have no say over different elements that could or could not be in the show.
Okay.
And so I'll just tell you right now, when you see me come on the air here, we're going to hit the Octo Box. We've got 8 games in the early window, taking you around all the different cities. And then when we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, it's been more than 250 days since the first full NFL Sunday, but we are back. And 7 hours of Red Zone football starts now.
Wow. Well said.
I realize that might be a slight change to some of you, but that's what the catchphrase will be going forward.
We all understand what the NFL is, okay? We all understand what the NFL is. As soon as we heard it's in 50 million homes and everybody's watching it, we knew immediately that there was going to be commercials dropped in there. Now, they already started doing commercials with the LRAPs. You know, they already started sliding those in now.
True.
You guys were saying commercial-free football, and I saw a fucking Lowe's ad on my screen as you were doing that. I'm like, we're certainly getting money from commercial stuff, though.
Boom.
Bang!
Yeah.
Shout out. That's exactly what it would do, you know? And then now actual commercials.
All right, so now people lost their ever-loving mind. The sound that you heard right there was the sound of people saying, yo, wait a second. Me no likey. I don't like that. 40 million viewers or whatever it is. I could say 140 million viewers. What do I care? A lot of viewers are watching. However, by all accounts, this is not an NFL problem. This is not. This is a problem caused by the NFL. This is not an ESPN problem. ESPN will suck the life out of everything. ESPN will suck everything dry, and not in a fun way. But ESPN didn't fuck this up, not yet. They will, and it's not surprising that they went to commercials, and certainly the coincidence can be made that it went from, well, no commercials to commercials. Now, there's no surprise there that it went on ESPN. But even our friend, even our boss, even our sensei, in response to idiot governors all over the country, including, what's that lady's name, Hochul in New York, even our guy, Clay Travis, had to correct her and say, yo, this is not ESPN's fault. Clay's tweet, I cannot believe I have to defend them, but ESPN has nothing to do with this decision. Kathy Hochul tried to make it into a Trump thing because she's an idiot, because these people are anti-America. They're anti-Trump to the point where they will just make stuff up. Scott Hansen said NFL Red Zone will have commercials. We're not going to sacrifice. You just heard him. Kathy Hochul, more commercials, less football, Trump's America. ESPN and NFL, you have time to fix this. How stupid is she? Clay Travis, I can't believe I have to defend them, but ESPN has nothing to do with this decision, you moron. And certainly Trump has nothing to do with this decision. Now, people are saying ESPN was aware. Well, so what? First off, ESPN doesn't own it this year. I mean, let's understand that. And I get it. I, honest to God, get it. We must blame ESPN. But the reason that OutKick is so popular is that we tell you the truth. This is done not by ESPN. This is done by the NFL. Period. That's who is doing this. They own this. ESPN does not own this. So now the Red Zone having full commercials. Again, I go back to this. This is why America is so great. This is the shit we worry about. You think they're worrying about this in Gaza? You think they're worried about this in Ukraine? Although videos of people in Ukraine, the answer may be yes, while we send money over there and the girls are partying, drinking, and screwing. But NFL fans are furious. They are absolutely, positively furious. All right, hey, go be furious. But you can cancel it if you'd like. You can get mad about it if you'd like. But ESPN is not the one ruining this. The NFL is. And let's be honest. The NFL is like when you walk into a Vegas casino, and they run the same risk as what's happening with Vegas. I said this 10 years ago. I did. 10 years ago, I said Vegas wants every dollar, and people are going to wake up to understanding this Vegas is not the Vegas they think it is. Everything is uber high priced. Everything is out of this world. What's happening with Vegas? Ghost town. Ghost town. NFL is the exact same thing as Vegas. The NFL is the exact same thing. When you walk into a casino, they thought they had this that could not be destroyed. Well, they destroyed it in Vegas, and they may. I'm not saying they will because football is king. But would it really surprise me? Would it really surprise you if the NFL slowed it down, if people started not watching? It would not surprise me over the next 5 years. I'm going to die in hopefully 20 years. By the time I'm dead, probable. There was a time when boxing was among the number 1, 2 sports in this country. It got stupid, too much bad publicity, too much pain in the ass, not enough servicing of its customers, and it went dead. This isn't servicing customers. It was the one area, Red Zone, where we did not have to go to see a black guy and a white woman be married, a gay couple kissing on the screen, 3 black people and a white dude acting like an idiot. That's what commercials are. Look, they have talked about it and talked about it and talked about it with comedians for years. All of a sudden, white people can't act. That's all you're going to see. A bunch of lesbians kissing each other, a bunch of gay guys kissing each other, a bunch of medical companies giving you, yay, we're going to jump around as a fat girl and say I use Ozempic. That's what it's going to be as 2 dudes are kissing each other in the background telling you about some new age drug. That's what the hell commercials are these days. Or a mommy and daddy, black and white, with some little biracial couple. That's all we get. They're not funny. They're not clever. Hell, the only time it's even close to clever, and they're not anymore, is during the Super Bowl. So now the NFL has to fuck up something that doesn't need to be fucked up. Give me football. It was an oasis from some fat girl in bright clothes dancing around talking about her weight loss journey and 15 people behind him making out as lesbians or a gay couple. I mean, that's what we got. I just wanted football. That's it. Turn it on. I don't have to, well, in my day, I was the channel changer. Hey, Danny, go to Channel 5 over there. We had Channel 2 was CBS, 5 was NBC, and ABC was Channel 7, and Channel 9 was WGN. 32 and 44 were over there. That's it. And I was a channel changer. I don't even need, because I use my phone now to turn the channel, I don't even need it when I'm watching the Red Zone. But now, because we got to see more biracial couples, fat women, dancing around, and dudes that are like dying telling us about high cholesterol. That's all 75% of your commercials are that bullshit. 75%. There you go. So they're all right. So people want to say they ruin RedZone. Good. No, not good. Bad. ESPN will ruin it once you open up the what is it? Pandora's box. Then guess what? More and more is coming. It'll end up being a typical ESPN bullshit thing with bullshit people on. I'm surprised Scott Hansen survived it. But in this case, I'll go with Clay. Man, how many fat women can they recruit? Hi, I'm wearing Depends. I should have last night, by the way, but I'll get into that later on. No, it's bullshit. No, it's stupid. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. And you know what I'm saying. And call me whatever names you want. All I got to do is watch a commercial. I saw a booth the other day, had 3 white guys in it. I texted the guy at ESPN, you better call the boss, tell him this can't happen. What's wrong with you? Anyway, well, long story short, you knew it. Davey, you knew it had to come, Davey. You knew that commercials had to come.
I did, Dan. I don't like that I'm getting this news the day before the NFL season starts. But my thing is, even if you're going to show them, at least kind of have it in its own little pip and let me still be able to watch some game action at the same time. Yeah, I mean, this was the entire point of RedZone, and now it's just you go one step and you just know they're going to continue to keep pushing it forward to where I don't even know what's next, but I can already tell you, Dan, I'm not going to like it.
No, it was a bastion. And Scott Hansen was perfect. I'm surprised they didn't put in some African-American lesbian next to him. That girl on ESPN with no hair.
They're still talking for Monica McNutt.
Oh, shut up. No, Monica McNutt, that dumbass. What's wrong with people? Anyway, no, you're right. You knew they. Hey, look, and I understand what people are saying. I do. I understand what fans are saying. You knew ESPN would fuck it up, but this isn't on them, and we got to be fair. We do. We don't like being fair. Well, we love being fair, actually, and our fair usually pisses everybody off. But the fact of the matter is, this was not ESPN. Now, if somebody wants to tell me, you can't tell me ESPN didn't know. Well, of course. I mean, I'm guessing they did know. I don't think they had the power to nix it if they wanted to make the deal because money talks and bullshit walks. But I will tell you this, the NFL is getting dangerously close to nickel and diming fans at a pretty high-end nickel and dime, by the way, a lot like Vegas did. Vegas was the oasis. I mean the oasis, 10-cent frip cocktail, $3 pretty good steak buffet, all you can eat. Now everything's $1 million, and it's gone away. Don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be surprised.
To your point, Dan.
If it don't.
Yeah, to your point, I was going to say, as soon as McAfee heard Scott Hansen say that, you could tell he already knew that was coming. Like, he was giving a heads
probably.
up.
Well, he supported it. So, yes, he was given a heads up. And, you can't tell. I don't care how powerful McAfee is. You can criticize a boss. You can criticize an underling. Probably not an underling, but, you can criticize your bosses. But don't criticize how they make money. That's when you get in trouble because that pays your salary. Speaking of making money, this episode is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. I love PrizePicks. I'm just going to tell you, I love it. I've learned about it. I love it. We all make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks, the best way to win cash this football season. It is. It's fun, too. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users. Sign up today. Here are 2 max discounts on PrizePicks for this week. Tonight, Dak Prescott. Listen to this. You win money on this. Here it is. 0.5 passing yards. Prescott completes a pass. You win half your thing. I told you about this one last week. Then Sunday, Lamar Jackson, 0.5 passing yards. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code Dakich, $50 in lineups you will get after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DAKICH to get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineups. Price Pick. Run your game. I'll have 2 more for you tomorrow. I will. I already got Dak tonight. I will. Man, people are on Dak's ass. Shut up. Get off Dak's ass. Barkley, not happy. When Barkley not happy, Danny D ain't happy. Leave it to the woke ESPN. Now, this is where ESPN is going to fuck it up. To piss off Charles Barkley and the legendary crew of Inside the NBA as the Chuckster hopped on with Bill Simmons to blast both TNT and ESPN over their lack of communication about the show's format now that it's going to be appearing on ESPN. Here's Sir Charles taking aim at his new bosses.
I think the NBA's got a big problem. How are regular fans gonna okay, it's Tuesday, especially when they start putting games
where
on.
do I go?
Well, because, sometimes the game's going to be on Peacock. And, it's not going to be on NBC. I think that's a huge dilemma for the NBA.
Guess what? They don't care.
I agree.
They got so much money, they're going to wipe their tears with cash.
Bill, I'm so glad you said that. I think it's a big deal because they just took all the money from all 3 networks. I don't think they give a about the fans. And I think this is going to come back to bite them, to be honest with you. And then the thing that's scary, this deal is for 11 years.
Right.
So now people can complain all they want to. For the next 11 years, they don't give a about the fans. They're like, y'all, if y'all find the games, fine. Just make sure the check clears.
Hey, what he said at the end, just make sure the damn check clears. Charles Barkley's in a position where that's a big-ass check. I mean, a big old check. And Charles Barkley is, here's what's going to be interesting about it. And people get mad at me when I say these things, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think I've ever been wrong. When Conan O'Brien came on and I looked at that set, I said, he's not going to make it 2 years. He didn't make it a year. I listened to him. I watched. ESPN has never been smart enough to get the right set. When you look at the set of TNT, and this is important. People may not think so, but it is. Aaron knows. Dylan, you guys in the back, you guys that run this show, get this background here right. You know the set matters. They never had the right set. Always too dark, always too closed, always too cramped at ESPN. And I'm telling you right now, that's going to be important. That was very important for TNT. Unless they're building those guys a new set, you mark my words. TNT, the show, isn't nearly as good when it's live because it's in a cramped little set. And if you've ever seen Shaq or Charles, they're monstrous. No. Chuck wasn't done there, however. He then turned his attention to the league and their decision to fracture games across numerous different streaming services. They don't give a shit about the fans, Charles says. Here he is.
The reason you guys had the best studio show of all time, other than the talent, was that you had these producers that actually let it breathe, that gave you 8-9 minutes at halftime in a row to have a conversation. Do you feel like you're going to be able to do that at ESPN? And what happens if you can't?
We don't know. This has been one of the worst. TNT just sucks, to be honest with you, Bill.
Yeah.
They made this deal. They haven't told us when we're going to work. They haven't told us how it's going to work because we've been talking behind the scenes. Do we have to, after the game, are we going to get any time? Or are they going to say, hey, you guys got to go to Sports Center?
Listen, they've always gone right to Sports Center. That's always how it's worked.
And I've asked that question because you're right. That's the best part of our show. After the game, we can have conversation and have fun. Are they going to say, you guys got 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15, 20, 30, 45? But are we going to go straight to Sports Center? They haven't given us an answer whatsoever. And TNT, I think they sold the show and they haven't been non-communicable at all.
What do they care? They got paid.
They got paid.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's getting paid. Everybody's getting fat. The thing I love about Barkley is kind of what we do here. We really give a shit about the show. Now, this may not be a show nearly at that level, but the big time is where you're at. And if you're doing a show, then it's the big time. And Barkley cares about the show. Barkley cares about the people involved in the show. Barkley cares about the product that he's involved with, period. That's what he is. And that's what makes it great, because it's sincere. Now, Shaq's too stupid. Shaq's just cashing checks. Kenny Smith is smart. Kenny goes in the background, has a bunch of other business ventures, and every single guy at ESPN right now is trying like hell to get the job that Ernie had. Because the job that Ernie had was probably a lot of fun on set. I can't imagine dealing with Shaq and his entourage of idiots every day is any fun at all. But dealing with Charles, Kenny, those guys is great. So that's what we have. I don't know. I'm anxious to see, but I'm telling you right now, remember I told you this. You're going to look at that show, and you're either going to, your first impression is you're going to like it based on the set, or I'm not going to say you're not going to like it, but you're going to be like, there's going to be a different feeling to you when you watch it. You mark my words on that one. Hey, hope you're enjoying the show. We've been on one for 2 days. We're playing hurt too, but we don't care. Hey, I want to say I appreciate, all of us appreciate you watching the show. We do. It's big time. I hope you love the content. We know you do now, but we have a different YouTube page that we're trying to grow. It's growing. We're at youtube.com/@don't@me with Dan Dakich. All one word, no apostrophe, no @ don't @ me, right there with Dan Dakich. Come on over. Tell your friends. We're at about, I don't know, let's get to a couple grand today. Let's go. Let's go. All right, everybody's going to deny this, but it's smart. And it's smart and it makes sense. I believe it. What am I talking about? Talking about the NBA, Kawhi Leonard. First off, before we get to Kawhi Leonard, or what he did or alleged to have done with Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, is there anybody that has made more money not working outside of the mafia, no-show jobs, than Kawhi Leonard? Hell, he made probably more than all the mafia guys combined. Anybody ever made more money doing nothing than Kawhi Leonard? I want you to think about that before you say, you racist, Dakich. Is it time for Adam Silver to bring the hammer down? Is it? I don't know. According to reports, Los Angeles Clippers owner Steve Ballmer concocted a scheme, and this makes sense, involving a tree planting service, $28 million, and Kawhi Leonard, all in on an effort to circumvent the salary cap. Yo, Kawhi, how much money you need, son? Now, seriously, how much money you need, son, to do nothing? Man, my family was poor. Everybody's family was poor. No, you don't understand. Well, we all understand. But how much do you need? See, here's what's starting to piss me off about NBA players. How much money do you need? And why is there any high school in Indianapolis or LA or New York or Dallas or Sacramento or Phoenix, wherever, that isn't fully funded by professional athletes? Why? I mean, honest to God, why? All these idiots, and now I'm starting to call them idiots. I'm not happy about it. But all these guys make $8 zillion a year. How much do they need? Seriously, how much do you need? And, like our guy Halliburton's a good guy. Why isn't Marshall High School fully funded by Halliburton? You can't tell people how to spend their money. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, I can. Yes, I can. Hell yeah, I can. And I will. It doesn't make any sense. How much money do these idiots need? Kawhi Leonard signed a 3-year, $150 million deal. That's $50 million a year, and then he wants extra from Steve Ballmer for a no-show job. What is this, Mike Francis? You ever watch that guy on YouTube? Now that he's out of that life, he's got all the answers. He's the smartest guy in the world. Hey, by the way, I'm not suicidal. All right. Pablo Torre went from being a whiny little bitch that worried about, DEI, to being an actual reporter. Good for Pablo Torre. About fucking time. Excuse my language, Mom, but I'm on one. I'm on meds, Mom. Blame meds. Oh, wait, I haven't told her I had surgery. Crap. Mom, don't watch. Torre laid out on his Pablo Finds Out. That's pretty good. Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast. The alleged situation revolves around a now bankrupt company, reportedly owned by Ballmer, called Aspiration. According to the documents, Torre presents on camera the company filed for bankruptcy March 2025, and one of the creditors listed was KL2 Aspire LLC for $7 million. Aspiration, a tree planting service, had previously entered a $28 million legal agreement with KL2. Why would you do that? According to Torre's investigator, clause found in one of the contract documents between Aspiration and KL2 stated Leonard could decline to proceed with any action desired by the company. In other words, he don't have to work. He could choose to do nothing for the company and still get paid. Was he a mafia don? Dude's making $50 mil a year. Hey, how about you go make Crenshaw High School the nicest high school in L.A.? How about you get off your stupid, dumb, ridiculous San Diego State uneducated ass and go do something? I'm pissed off at all these guys. Seriously. I mean, everybody talks about T.J. McConnell here, and then you go pay for a school to have basketballs. According to Torre's finding, payments from Aspiration to KL2 were sent to Leonard's legal advisor, Dennis Robertson. I bet he's a genius. He must be. Listen to this. Who was investigated by the NBA 2019 for asking for impermissible benefits. Hang out with idiots, you get idiot things. The investigation ultimately found no evidence that the Clippers provided illegal benefits while persuading Leonard during free agency this offseason. Of course, everybody's denying it. And I want to go back to something. Good for Pablo Torre. He's not worried about getting a job because of his ethnicity. He's becoming a respected reporter for once in his life by actually reporting. It was to circumvent the salary cap, an anonymous employee said. The single largest payment to an individual for marketing that Aspiration ever made has completely evaded all press. He didn't have to do anything. Circumventing the salary cap and paying players more than their contract is a violation of NBA rules. Is trouble brewing in sunny L.A.? Nah. No. Look, a lot of people were surprised when Harvey Weinstein went to jail. Why? What am I talking about? I had so many people tell me Harvey Weinstein's too rich to go to jail. Ever since somebody told me that and he went to jail, I've always thought about that. Is this guy, Harvey Weinstein wasn't richer than his problems, both public and private. Ballmer is richer than this problem. I get it's not the same, but hopefully you're smart enough to make the connection. Ballmer is richer than this problem. This is a minor problem. See, I always look at rich guys and think, can they get out of this with their money? The answer most times is yes. The only guy that I saw was Weinstein. He didn't. He's going to rot in hell, which he should. So I always look, all right, when they name the owner, like when they go to a general manager, they go to the coach, I don't care about any of that. They're rich, but they're not like, Ballmer, billionaire rich. So when I saw Ballmer's name, my initial reaction was, is he richer than this problem? And the answer is yes. You know that problem? First thing I thought of, actually, with that Ishbia and all those guys, what's that guy's name? Bartleson, Screw, and Sophie Cunningham, and the Phoenix Suns owner. As soon as I saw Ishbia's name, yeah, he's richer than this problem. Pay attention to that. Weinstein was not. Tell you who was. What's his name? God dang it. I see him every day on Sirius XM radio. Why can't I think of his name? He just got fired from Sirius. Howard Stern. Howard Stern's richer than his problem. His problem was Me Too was coming after him. He was richer. Nobody came after him. Pay attention to that, seriously. All right, this is coming. Man, this is coming. Give an inch, expect a mile. You know this. A group of athletes have filed a lawsuit against the NCAA looking to change eligibility rules. People want to play in college forever. Taking specific aim at redshirting rules, arguing the athletes should be eligible in competition for 5 years instead of 4. This has been ongoing a minute. I mean, just stay in college the rest of your life. The new lawsuit filed by the Texas Trial Group on Tuesday, they're challenging the NCAA's right to allow these athletes to participate in workouts, practice, other daily activities, but not allowed to play in actual games. It's a great rule, the red shirt rule. Every player that I ever had that left, sat out a year, came in, sat out a year, told me later it's the best year of their life. But once you open the floodgates to giving players what they want, you know this, No good deed goes unpunished. It's one of the Dakich family doctrine. For almost 50 years, the NCAA has enforced a rule providing Division I college athletes with a 5-year window to exhaust their competitive eligibility, 5-year rule. However, within those 5 years, the NCAA limits college athletes to compete in only 4 seasons of intercollegiate competition. The 4 seasons rule, well, that's when you should get your fucking degree, you idiots. Otherwise dictates that a college athlete may use the 5th year only to compete in team activities, work out, and with limited participation in intercollegiate competition, the redshirt rule. Here's the eligibility lawsuit. These overlapping rules distort the market for Division I athletes by penalizing academically eligible, high-performing college athletes who choose to compete instead of redshirting, thereby forcing them to forfeit a year of potential competition and market value without any legitimate pre-competitive justification. We're not challenging the NCAA's rule limiting players to 5 years of eligibility to play college sports or the concept of a defined eligibility period generally. But the NCAA has no basis to prohibit a player who is working just as hard as all of his teammates in practice, in the weight room, in the classroom, from stepping on the field or court to compete against another school in one of those seasons. 5 years to participate, practice, 5 years to graduate, 5 years to play. Great. Just let him play 10, who cares? Hey, Angel Reese is a dumbass. Do you know that? Have you seen that? Have you listened to the fool? I get it. She's very popular. I get it. She's popular in the world of stupid. But, hey, she laid down one of those no bullshit declarations you don't hear every day. She told the Chicago Tribune she might have to move in a different direction, do what's best for me if the Sky don't meet her demands. She's since apologized last night. I'm not setting for the same shit we did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. It's not negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. Sky currently suck again because she's impossible to be around. Now, I got this from somebody that I know that's very close to the situation. Impossible. A pain in the ass. Couldn't be dumber either. Like, she's one of those people that you look at, listen to, and you go, wow, she's really stupid. Wow. Yeah, 10-30, eliminated from the playoffs. She punked out on her team. I am very vocal about what we need and what I want. Really. I'd like to be here for my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction. Go to Russia and do what's best for me. And while I'm here, I'm going to try to stay open-minded about what I have and maximize that as much as I can. It's been an eventful 24 hours for America's dumbest athlete. Last week, she was assessed her 8th technical foul, making contact with an opponent's head as Reese was being boxed out for a rebound. She'll be suspended for tomorrow's game versus the Fever unless they rescind the technical. If Caitlin Clark was playing, they would rescind. Now, no reason. 23 years old, wrapping up her 2nd season under the typical 3-year rookie deal, which gives the team the choice for a 4th year. 7th overall in the draft, runner-up to Clark in the Rookie of the Year voting. That season, they finished 13-27 and parted ways with head coach Teresa Weatherspoon after a single year. Now they have a world's most effeminate coach in there, and they can't win shit, and she's just stupid. Take it for what it's worth. Hey, in his forthcoming book, Danny Hurley, that he revealed he was on the verge of stepping down after last season's quest for a three-peat, fell short, added he was cooked mentally, added that he had preliminary talks with Fox Sports about becoming a television analyst. This happens a lot. I mean, let me give you a little history. Al McGuire stepped down after winning a national championship in 1977 at a very young age, went into TV. In 1981, Bob Knight won a national championship. And Bob Knight told me, he told people publicly and privately that he was going to leave and go to CBS Sports, or thought seriously about it. And then Landon Turner, our star player, one of the greatest dudes ever, got in a car wreck, got paralyzed. Knight felt like he could not leave and stayed, a long time. Jay Wright just did that. You're seeing college coaches doing it left and right. Now, I believe Danny Hurley when he says more like Bob Knight. Man, it just took a lot out of me. You know, here's the thing. People always tell me, well, this is why you're not in coaching. You know, if I say something they disagree with. No. No, that's why I'm smart. Urban Meyer's at a relatively young age. Urban Meyer go back and coach any college football team in the country. I mean, I think Notre Dame would fire Freeman to hire Urban Meyer. I mean, he'd get any job he wants. Why doesn't he? Because you just know when it's time to go. My shelf life on things is 10 years. 10 years, and we usually move it along. If I look back at my career, I don't know, 12 years at Indiana as an assistant, 10 years with ESPN, 14 with radio station, third year here, maybe 10 years. I hope they let me play here for 10 years, but everybody has a shelf life on things. And dumbass fans, that's why you're not coaching. They say that to all coaches, right? Ex-coaches. No, the reason is we got smart. Every coach that gets fired, or if Danny Hurley would have quit, I'd have sent him a congratulatory note. Here's Hurley. I thought about leaving, taking a gap year. Resigning as head coach of the UConn Huskies. I even talked to a TV executive about doing some commentary. The previous summer, I talked to Jay Wright about life after basketball. He said he was happy, sleeping. He wasn't sick to his stomach 9 months a year. I've told this before, man. I had real depression. I don't mean kind of depression. I mean the kind of depression you couldn't get off the bed, out of the bed. I slept on the floor because if I slept on a bed, I couldn't get out of the bed. So I slept on the floor. It was uncomfortable, literally. I did it on the road. We won a game at Troy right before Christmas. Great win for us. On the road, Troy, I know people don't care about Troy, but Troy was the leading three-point shooting team in the country. And we went in there and they whooped their ass. And I still slept on the floor. And then my best player got hurt the next game, and then I wanted to sleep with a gun in my mouth. I get it. I tell coaches all the time, man, congratulations. You're going to realize what a great life. My first realization came on Thanksgiving. First year out of coaching, I'm like, wait a second, what? Wait, what? I don't have to find players. I don't have to figure out where to eat. I don't have to have them at my house. I'm sitting here with my brother, my dad, my aunt, all these people, and we're watching football, drinking beers, and betting. That was when we had offshore account. This is the greatest. Perfect. Man. Let's see here. Sick to my stomach. Who's this idiot talking? The modern college basketball landscape is warmed down. Transfer portal, NIL deals turned every player into free agency, forcing coaches to recruit their own rosters year-round. Hurley couldn't escape to his usual retreat in Puerto Rico because he needed to be in stores immediately after the tournament to prevent his team from dissolving. Hurley's media relationships have been complicated, to put it mildly. He called national reporter Skip Bayless wannabes, claimed local beat writers treated him more fairly than television talking heads. He's feuded with analysts who criticize his sideline behavior. Jeff Goodman, calling his referee's outburst disgusting. Billis dismissed his antics as bad behavior. Yeah, fuck off, Ollie. I like Jay. Goodman's the biggest piece of shit out there, coward. He's just a coward. We don't care about him. Lucky for college basketball fans, we'll still be able to see Hurley at the helm of the Huskies and all the theatrics that come with his passion for the sport. Perhaps we might even get another conversation about Hurley's coaching style from Jeff Goodman, the never won anything, including in high school, Robbie Hummel, and Tyler Hansbrough, who won everything. Good. Here's what you do, Robbie and Tyler and Jeff Goodman. Go have a conversation. Go sit over there and have a conversation. Now, good. Let us know when you're done. It's time for a conversation. Fuck off. Sorry, Mom. All right, we'll be right back. Man, I'm swearing a lot. I'm fired up and I'm on drugs. Leave me alone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is an NFL Thursday, and I am very fired up because, well, I like watching stuff. I like watching my Cubs, and I like watching football. And I like watching Illinois State basketball. All right, it is the damn awards. Let's play the stinger. I love the stinger. The damn awards brought to you by sex. Anyway, if it were sex on TV, it'd be like two guys kissing. I already went into that. I don't want to get in any more trouble. Stud of the week. Hey, we are honest people here. We give credit where credit is due. Tommy Castellanos, I ripped. I thought he was a fraud, and maybe he still is. I don't know. But I know when he lost his job at Boston College, he quit Boston College, and when guys quit, I don't like it. I feel bad about quitting football when I was in 7th grade. 7th and 8th grade team at St. Peter and Paul. Why did I quit? I'll tell you why I quit. Because my buddies were going. A friend of ours, brother, was driving everybody to Comiskey Park for a doubleheader, and I wanted to go. I want to play football. Anyway, Tommy Castellanos absolutely backed up what he had to say about Nick Saban not being at Alabama. Nick can't save them. They can't stop me. I don't know if they stopped him or didn't. I know this. Florida State, the quarterback, the team with which Tommy Castellanos plays quarterback, kicked their ass. I'm saying it out of the side of my mouth, too, because they kicked their ass. Hey, Lou Holtz came on yesterday, our show stud of the week, too, and he reignited his beef with Ryan Day. I'm a fan of Ryan Day. I'm not going to lie. I like Ryan Day. I like Ryan a lot. And I like Lou Holtz a lot. And, hey, they want beef? Do it here. Ryan, come on. Come on the show. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of all the guys that Urban had in assistance. Urban, before national championship, one of the national championship games, I was over there. He said, hey, come on over. We got a staff meeting. I sat in a staff meeting. Ryan Day was there. Vrabel was there. All these guys were there. It was great. I sat in the corner and listened. It was awesome. I always liked Ryan Day. Good dude. But I like Lou Holtz. I did not expect, I don't know if you guys did, but I did not expect Lou Holtz to go off like that. I thought he was going to brush away the whole thing. It's all good, blah, blah, blah. He didn't. Losers of the week, Dabo Swinney. I don't know if he was taking a shot when he graded Notre Dame, or excuse me, I say Notre Dame because of Brian Kelly. LSU at a 65 on an exam, and his own team is a 58. But I'm with Brian Kelly. That's some tough grading. Because second half, it looked to me like LSU was the number one team in the country, certainly number one team in terms of fast defense. Ohio State's defense great as well. But LSU, Nussmeier, played it pretty good. They went in there and whooped Dabo's ass in one of the toughest places to play in America. Man, if that's a 65, then LSU is going to go undefeated and win every game from here on by 100. If they can get to a 90, get to an A grade. In my high school, you had to go 93 to 100. We didn't mess around. 65 would have been an F, and you're going to see Father Ward on Saturday. Maybe in public school. I know at Ohio State, you're not allowed to give African Americans any lower than a C, so a 65 would be a C. At least that's what guys at Ohio State told me. You get a lot of good stuff on this show, don't you? You get information you could never get anywhere else, and I'm not afraid to say it. That's right. Athletes at Ohio State. When's the last time you heard an athlete at Ohio State flunk out? Ineligible. Never. African-American athlete. Never. Not since George Floyd. Facts. Don't look it up. I'm an ish guy. Remember that. Bill Belichick. All right. You got your ass beat. You're replacing 70 players. All right. Okay. Under no circumstance should your girlfriend, that little pain in the ass, be on the sideline ever. From the time you leave the crib to go to the beautiful stadium, by the way, at North Carolina, her ass is in the suite. Her ass is in the office. Her ass is getting coffee for boosters. Her ass is sitting there, showing a little cleavage, bending over, so some fat guy gives a check for $1 million to go buy you better players. But there's video of her on the sideline. No. I used to look up. My wife was sitting next to Coach Knight's wife. That was it. Period. That's all. Hey, you can lose a game. You're building a program. But having that creature, that cretin, that Elvira on the sideline, no. Hope you lose every game her dumbass shows up at. Well, we were sitting on a plane and she was doing her homework and then it became love. Fuck. Shut up. Well, it's love. Oh, shut up. You've embarrassed yourself enough. And I'm telling you, a lot of people won't say it. How's Belichick without Brady? Crazy story of the week. This was insanity. Framber Valdez of the Astros intentionally beamed his own catcher out of spite. Remember how Jerry Seinfeld brought back a shirt? Oh, no, I'm sorry. No. I got my Larry Davids mixed up. Larry David opened a spite store next to Joe's Mocha Joe. This was out of spite. He hit his own catcher in the gut with a fastball after he was unhappy with the catcher's previous pitch that resulted in a grand slam. Man, I've never seen that before. No, I never have. I caught for a long time. Even though I was tall and skinny, I loved to be a catcher. My dad told me it was the fastest way to big leagues. All right. And frankly, I never ever, you can get crossed up easy. You're expecting a fastball and all of a sudden, or you're expecting a curve and it's fastball. That's the worst. Or slider, or any of those pitches, sweeper, whatever the hell they're throwing. That's crazy. That guy should be fined. That guy should be suspended. And that guy should be taken out back, Vegas style, and had his ass beat. Fined first, suspended second, ass beat third. I don't know. Which way should that go, Davey? Fined first, suspended, or ass? I think ass beat, and then depending on how hard the ass beat, that's how big of a fine and that's how big of a suspension. Which one?
Yeah, I don't have much background on this guy, Dan, to where it's like I know what's really going to hurt him, but I would probably go fine first, then get your ass beat, and then suspension. That's how I would do it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's fair. You got to get the fine in there, and as soon as he pays it, then we beat his ass to know that we're still pissed, and then we suspend him so that and we say, all right, you can't be around the clubhouse, and let reporters try to get a hold of him at home.
You could
he's not around reporters.
Yeah, you could wait until he's fully healed from the ass beating before the suspension comes into play. That way, it's like he's not able to recover during the suspension.
Yeah. Something. That's how egregious it is. That is, you don't hurt your own teammate. You have proven yourself to be, well, a lot of things. One of which is just an idiot. All right, the catcher actually told the pitcher to back off. He didn't. He threw a pitch, grand slam. And next thing you know, the guy tries to hurt. That I don't even know that. I'm sure it's happened. Like I know that guys have gotten out of the way to let a ball hit an umpire or move the mitt. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that I've ever seen a guy do that. I thought the catcher was going to fire it back at his feet and make him dance a little bit. I don't know that I've ever seen that, Davey.
It's a first for me too, Dan.
Your own guy. I get it. You get crossed up. We all get it. You get crossed up. You think the sign is 3, it's 2, and next thing you know, all right, but you don't do it on purpose and then turn around. There was no, oh, my bad. None. All right, best story of the week. Not only is college football back, the NFL is back tonight. The Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles. What the hell more do you want? I mean, the news that RedZone is going to have commercials certainly deflated us a tad, but we'll get over it. We will. And we will be watching Feats football. Now, you can't, what they used to say about, you can't tell the players without a scorecard. Well, you can't tell the networks without a scorecard. Now, who the hell knows where anything is? I assume tonight's on Amazon, but I don't know. Maybe it's on NBC. What the hell do I know? All I know is this. I'm glad it's back. Why? You know why. Because my fat ass, particularly when I had a little surgery, likes to sit down and watch and bet sports. Yeah, not any sport. But I like the NFL. I went 10 years, never watched the NFL when I was a college coach. Never. Not one time did I ever watch. None. Zero. I'm a big Bears fan, watched every Sunday, couldn't wait. Never, not one time. I thought the NFL was boring, and then it happened. I got out of coaching. Woo, Sundays. Sunday. Hey, friend of mine, a friend of the show, I just sent him a box of Good Ranchers, which was a sponsor of the show. I just sent Boog Shambi, the announcer for the Cubs, a box of steaks from Good Ranchers. I have them here, and they're very good. Only advertise what I like. Anyway, Boog Shambi, Cubs announcers, he sat down with Pablo Torre and discussed his beliefs as to why ex-athletes more often than not suck at becoming broadcasters once their playing days are over. Here's Torre and Boog.
I just thought it's hard to be an analyst, and the idea that, look, if you're betting on it, more often than not, these guys come to become color analysts. They're not very good.
The ex-athletes, like in this case, Tom Brady was the guy.
And there's so many reasons for it. I mean, I would say number one is they're not going to respect it and put the work into it that they put into their game. But then the next part that I would say that you guys were missing is just this idea of, like, when Tom Brady's playing the other team, he doesn't know the first and last name of all 11 on the other side. He knows the corner's bad and he could pick on him, but he doesn't know his first and last name. When the ball's thrown to him and he's broadcasting a game, he's got to say his first and last name. And accessing that is a completely different skill set than the idea of, oh, he's open, I can throw it to him. Like, it's completely different.
Where I was baffled by your take was, but he also has the most sophisticated high-speed processing of the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
The X's and O's. He's dissecting a defense in a booth the way that he would presumably on the field.
And then he's got to say it, and that has nothing to do with him playing quarterback. If in the booth they allowed him to throw the ball, I'm not saying, look, he might be good, but I was annoyed that you guys gave him the benefit of the doubt that you think just because he can process, that he can process and spit it back out. No, we'll see if he can.
Yeah, it ain't that hard. Now, I've never done a football game. I've never done a football game. So, yeah, I did do a football game. I did one of Urban Meyer's football games. I was the analyst before I knew what I was doing. I will tell you this, it ain't that hard. Well, when Urban Meyer got into doing it, he was doing it at the Big Ten Network. No, he was doing it for ESPN. And he was doing the noon game when he got out of coaching in between Florida and Ohio State. He called me up. We had a long talk about it. And I said, here's what you do, man. It's pretty simple. I said, you go about the business of talking to listeners like you're talking to your team. And then you adjust it there. You see what's happening and you describe it as you are describing it to your team. Because coaches have to be succinct when they speak. Like Boog goes on, Torrey goes on. I understand they're not going to really like ex-jocks. It's that whole thing way back, particularly Torrey. Boog's great, unbelievable to work with, one of my favorite human beings to be around, go to dinner, have a great time in Puerto Rico. Whatever we do, it's great. But the truth of the matter is, it ain't that hard. Football might be, as you said, 11 guys. Basketball, And if you don't know someone's first or last name, you say, hey, down and out, he completed against Cromartie, blah, blah, blah. So I disagree with that. I could do a radio show on this cup for 3 hours. I could do a game basically with my eyes closed, but I'm gifted that way. I am. I just got to get Zager and the other guy to figure this out. I do. Shanks, Eric Shanks and Zager. I got to get them to figure it out. They're sitting there with all these DEI hires and guys that won't shut up in Big Ten basketball, and I got to get them to figure out I'm the best to do it. What are they doing? Anyway, long story short, though, if it came down to doing this or doing that, this every time, because I love this show. All right, when we come back, people are still mad. Kyle Lamb says Notre Dame hasn't beaten Ohio State since 1936. Okay. All right. There you go. Gives a crap. All these little wannabe douchebags. Anyway, I love that Lou Holtz came on the show. I love that Chad Withrow's on the show. And I love that we got Tommy Tuberville coming up bottom of the hour. Stay here. You know, the great Chad Withrow, Hot Mike, joins us. A friend of mine, John Buzzard, sent me this tweet. Chad, what used to be the TV guide for NFL TV viewing is now whatever scoring app is on your phone. I have to open the game to see if it's on Amazon, Netflix, regular TV, YouTube, streaming cable, maybe even on Bravo. Who knows? Man, I guess tonight's just on simple NBC. You fired up for football?
I'm fired up for some football, Dan. I'm fired up for just standard old NBC broadcast of finding it. I pulled over my trusty little notepad here because I'm working through my top 10 college football games of the week, and I'm thrilled to announce right now, Dan, that this will be the first ever time that a game will appear in my top 10 that will be played on ACC Extra. Had no clue there was an ACC Extra until right now. That is when you know it is a truly shitty slate of games, is when I'm putting a game that's on ACC Extra that will be on there. UConn at Syracuse.
Who's on it?
UConn at Syracuse.
Oh, shit.
The Orange is 6.5-point favorite. I don't know that they're going to make the top 10, but they're in contention for that 9 or 10 spot right now in my top 10 games of the week. So, yeah, look, it's crazy. You've got all these different broadcast partnerships now. Friday night, they're going to have a game in Sao Paulo, Brazil on YouTube. You've got a lot of different conflicting things going on. I'm trying to debate. Most of the people in my house now, they've just all of a sudden switched to become Buffalo Bills fans because they love Josh Allen so much. So do I get Sunday ticket to help out my family and let them watch the Bills game? Do I sit on that $300? Do I get Red Zone again and suffer through commercials during Red Zone, the one spot where we didn't have commercials? So many decisions there. Decisions.
It's too much.
As football season, right? It is too much.
It's too much. I said, hey, Chad, I said this. Vegas was the hot spot. And 10 years ago, I said this. I mean, maybe 15. I said, Vegas is in danger of going away. And people laughed at me. I said, look, casinos are popping up all around. It used to be a place where you went, fairly cheaply. You can get a $2, whatever. And now they want every dollar. NFL's not going away. But don't be surprised if there's some blowback because they want every effing dollar, and it's sickening. And that, I'm telling you, that could be a problem in 20 years, 15, 20 years.
Well, and you're right about that. And just in general, I think too many decisions paralyzes us. It's so much easier when you get down to like 2 or 3 options. I think there's a great scene in the movie The Hurt Locker with Jeremy Renner where he gets home after fighting wars and, making sure bombs don't go off on people. And he's standing in a supermarket with his family, and he's looking at the options of cereal. And he just can't even do anything. He's paralyzed in the moment thinking about what he's fighting for, and he gets back home, back from Iraq, and he's looking at all the different cereal options, and he can't decide between one. That's the feeling I have on a Saturday or Sunday when it comes to the amount of options that you have. Options are great when it comes to college football and all the games being on television. But, Dan, a good example is Saturday. I'm watching my alma mater, Tennessee, take on Syracuse. ESPN and ABC go away from the game late because it's a bit of a blowout, and they want to get to Florida State and Alabama on time, which I understand. I happen to step away at the moment they say they're going to send that game to ESPN News. So I don't know where the game has gone. I look on the Score app, and I see that it's on Disney+, it's on ABC, it's on ESPN+. So I go to Disney+ because I have an account. It says it's technical difficulties right now. Doesn't say I can't watch it, which I couldn't on Disney+. Technical difficulties. I go to ESPN+. Can't watch it there. Technical difficulties. Finally, a buddy says, hey, if you want to see if Tennessee covers or not, which is why everyone was watching at that point, you can go to ESPN News. So I go to ESPN News 3 minutes after the final touchdown was scored, and Tennessee securely covered in that game against Syracuse. Too many options paralyze us constantly, and I'm starting to feel that way about the NFL with all the different options we had, where it's usually very cut and dry. Here's your national game windows, late afternoon, evening. You're going to get your local games. You're going to get the Colts there in Indy. I'm going to get the Titans here in Nashville. You know exactly what to expect every week. That landscape is changing drastically.
Oh, it's terrible, but it is what it is. I got to get an update. We're starting the season. You good with the Titans where they're at? You good with Cam Ward?
I mean, because they haven't played a snap yet. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it right now. Let's check back at 7:00 Central on Sunday because they play the late afternoon window in Denver on Sunday. Look, this Titans roster is not good. Okay, you can't really church up what's going on with the Titans this year. Now, everything's about Cam Ward. We've talked about it a lot, Dan. If he looks like a franchise quarterback, and it looks like Brian Callahan is capable of developing a franchise quarterback, then the outlook for the Tennessee Titans changes dramatically. But you got a guy in Jeffrey Simmons who I think is a really good football player. I don't think he's necessarily a guy who knows how to lead the right way or wants to be a leader for this team. There's nothing stable, right? The one thing that could be stable is Cam Ward if he comes out and has a good season. But I look at the organization, and it's just very boring, very bland. There's not anything that's a given every week that I feel like you're going to get from this team. They don't have Derrick Henry that you can just turn around and hand the ball to. They don't have a dominant secondary or a great defensive line or one good pass rusher even where you can say, well, at least that guy's going to be good, and you know what you're going to get from him. Dan, I honestly do not know what we're going to get from anyone with this Titans team. So some could say that's depressing. Others could say it's exciting because you're going into a season with so many unknowns.
I think it's depressing. I want stars. I always want stars. Our thing here, people are saying, is exciting because we want to see what Daniel Jones can do. I've seen what Daniel Jones can do. I don't need to see what Daniel Jones can do. I don't. I'm sorry. There's nothing about Daniel Jones that interests me other than when's he going to get hurt or when's he going to get benched. See, I like excellence. Speaking of excellence, Cowboys started off tonight. Now, people downplay the Cowboys, but when Dak Prescott's healthy, they win a shit ton of games during the regular season. I mean, this isn't like some, number one pick in a draft team. This is a good football team, no?
I think they're a good football team, and I think they're going to be a pissed off football team, Dan. I mean, you know this, coaching as long as you have, being around sports as long as you have. Even when someone doesn't necessarily do anything wrong to a teammate, when that person leaves and there's talk around now this team sucks because that player isn't there, athletes and competitors have a way of building that chip up to where, well, we're going to show them, right? And maybe this works tonight. Maybe this works early in the season. But I do think there's this palpable sense, whether everyone thinks that Jerry Jones has lost it or not, which most people do, there's this palpable sense to me with the Cowboys that, Micah Parsons wasn't the whole team. There's not one player on any defense that makes the entire team. So we're going to go show that we're still a good defense, that we are going to be better at stopping the run or whatever BS Jerry Jones was selling in that press conference. But they're going to go out and prove everyone wrong. I think that being doubted and being disrespected, it sounds corny, but a lot of times it works. It works for NFL locker rooms. It works for locker rooms across the country in every sport. So I do think the Cowboys are going to play some of that disrespect. But, Dan, the bottom line is, man, when you lose a guy that matches only the great Reggie White in number of sacks in his first 4 seasons, like, that's a blow, right? That's a loss. Like, you can't tell me that now not playing with that guy, suddenly you're going to be a more effective defense. I understand that he freelances at times, that he goes his own way, that he's trying too hard maybe to make the sack, and that he doesn't have gap responsibility or stop the run on certain plays. But I'm willing to bet it's going to be a net negative, not having Micah Parsons and adding Kenny Clark, a run stopper, to your defense. Now, time will tell on the trade because the 2 first-round picks and what they get in return. Maybe this is Herschel Walker 2.0, and Jerry Jones ends up looking like a genius at the end of all this, but it's going to be a while before we know that.
Do you think, they wanted me to ask this, and I'm curious because I don't see this ever happening. You think Jerry Jones ever relinquishes the GM job? I don't know what's he, 80 years old? He never relinquishing those roles. No chance. He's doing that, and I would too if I wanted to do it. If that energized me and I was the owner, I wouldn't relinquish GM role to anybody, not even my kids.
So here's how I'll answer that. This is a man who, if you watch the documentary on Netflix, fired a guy who just won back-to-back Super Bowls because he refused to give him a toast when he was plastered at Disney World at an NFL owners meeting, right? Like, he walked to Ed Werder immediately and said, that disloyal son of a bitch is going to be fired, and I'm giving you the scoop of the century. That man is not going to relinquish the GM role for anyone. No. Cowboys fans can bitch all they want. National media can say what they want about it. And he has been bad since that Super Bowl run and since Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer. But they've put some good teams on the field, too, that just haven't won in the playoffs. No, absolutely not. He relinquishes that GM role when he passes away. And then it'll go to Stephen Jones, who may end up being a worse GM than his dad. And guess what Stephen Jones is going to do? Not give up that role to anyone else because he is his father's son. And they got to this station in life by not relinquishing and by doing exactly what they want and carrying a chip on their shoulder 24/7. And it doesn't matter what I say, what you say, Dan, what anybody says. Hell no, they're not relinquishing that GM role. Either Jerry or eventually Stephen Jones. They're not going to do it.
Not a chance. You wouldn't. I mean, as long as it motivates you, as long as you're having fun, I mean, if it's miserable, then maybe you do. All right, you mentioned your top 10 games. My crystal ball says Oklahoma, Michigan. Is my crystal ball off?
Your crystal ball is exactly right. That will be the top game of the week. There's not a lot of great games, but there's some sneaky good games this week. I think Illinois at Duke has a chance to be really good, possible upset there. Arizona State at Mississippi State. Some just really weird matchups of schools. Like I think about the cultural difference of going to Arizona State or going to Mississippi State, and now Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham complaining about, if they wanted to stay anywhere that's not a casino, they had to stay 2 hours away from Starkville because there's no hotels in the town. A guy coming from, the Phoenix, Tempe area. Ole Miss and Kentucky, Lane Kiffin's had problems with Kentucky in the past. Mark Stoops' teams seem to defend that offense really well. They're going to vaunted Kroger Field for that game on Saturday. So there's some sneaky good games this week, Dan, but you nailed it. Oklahoma and Michigan, everybody wants to see Bryce Underwood, how he plays in his first true road test. And for Oklahoma, Brent Venables entered the season on the hot seat. John Mateer looked good against Illinois State, put up a lot of points. Don't really know what that means, but a great player at Washington State. We've seen Washington State transfers go on and do great things. Cam Ward to Miami, then to the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Is John Mateer that next type of player for Oklahoma? Sooners fans certainly hope so. So I'll definitely be watching that game Saturday night.
All right, last thing before I let you go, I got to get your reaction. First weekend, DeBoer back again with a loss as a 14-point favorite. And, of course, Bill Belichick. My biggest bitch with Belichick is get that fucking woman off the sideline. I got to stop swearing, but get her off the side. I don't ever want to see that hurts my sensibilities as a coach, former coach.
Dan, the day you stop swearing is the day I'll stop loving you. Okay, so never stop swearing. Keep the swears coming. I love it. Yeah, I don't know why she's standing in the box looking like a mannequin standing next to Randy Moss during the broadcast. Yeah. I'm just like, what? It just looks like a plant. It looks like someone picked her up like a little figurine and just dropped her next to Randy Moss. They didn't have any interaction. She was stiff as a board the whole time, and he's sitting there watching the game. It's very odd. I think a lot of people think, man, he's this guy in his 70s, and he's got this 24-year-old hot woman. I get all of that, but when that woman is dictating your possible failure in your professional life and as a coach, then there's issues there with Bill Belichick, and he just never struck me as a college type of guy, especially in this new NIL environment. We'll see if it works. Alabama, look, it's no longer special to beat Alabama. And that's saying a lot, just a year and a game removed from Nick Saban.
Yes.
We need to stop storming the field. They've lost to 4 unranked teams. They lost 4 times a 13.5-point favorite or bigger. That says a lot about Caleb DeBoer, who I think is a really good coach. But, Dan, it feels like it was going to be doom for whoever took that job to replace Nick Saban. They could have hired Mike Norvell, who was their first choice. He probably would have failed. Kalen DeBoer looks like he's failing right now at Alabama. When you replace a legend to the level of Nick Saban, it was always going to go bad for the next guy. Now the question is, how quickly does Alabama decide, we're going to move on to the guy after the guy's guy, right, and go to the second remove from Nick Saban? Will it be at the end of this year? Will they give him another year? I don't know. Alabama has the talent to turn it around. But when you got guys loafing to the football, not sprinting, when you got your star offensive tackle holding a damn cell phone, doing his warm-up before the game, you got problems. And he's got to fix that. And I was reading something today about, it was the On3 article from Andy Staples and Chris Lowe, that Southern kids and Southern football players, they want to be coached hard. They want Kirby Smart, in their face mask, yelling at them. They want Nick Saban. And Kalen DeBoer's just not that type of guy. He's got more of an NFL sensibility. He treats them like grown men, like professionals. And it's not a good fit for that program in Alabama and their players, even though he's a very nice, decent guy and a good football coach. He's the type of guy who wins big at Washington and maybe doesn't win big at Alabama, as crazy as that sounds.
Not only was the offensive tackle holding a phone, 2 other kids were too, which was very weird to me. Like, if you look in the background of that picture, I think his name was Proctor, maybe the offensive tackle. 2 other kids in the background were doing the same thing. And there is a cardinal rule in coaching, and I don't give a damn who you are. You can always lighten up, but you can't toughen up. And here's I talked about this yesterday with somebody. I'd be curious. Like, I asked Urban whether or not Billy Napier ever contacted him when he took the Florida job. He said no. I'm thinking, what? I wonder if DeBoer really sat down, and you got to understand why the previous coach put into play what he put. Why was he so tough? Why was he so disciplined? Why did he have these certain rules? Because a coach, like Urban or whoever, isn't set in their ways. They will adjust, and sometimes it's really difficult to come in and I'm going to be this soft player's coach, and then, oh, wait a second, I'm going to get tough. It doesn't work that way. Go the other way. You can be too tough, weed them out, and then smooth it along. But DeBoer seems like he came in there trying to be, himself probably, but a little bit anti-Saban, and that's just dumb. It's what Indiana did with Bob Knight, and they haven't won since. It's silly.
I can't think of many success stories of guys taking over for a coach that was disciplined and tough and all those things that just like had a Club Med going on when he walked in that turned into a great thing for the team, right? Like
here's what you get, Chad.
Yeah.
Chad, here's what you get. Mike Davis got – I always use Indiana. Mike Davis got – and players on the team told me this, Dane Fife and others. Mike Davis got the residual effect of that discipline for 2 years. But Knight was there 28, and it wore off. I feel like DeBoer came in and just gave it all up in a second to be – I guess it's him. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're spot on right. And like, think about all the great sports movies we've seen and all the great actual real life stories of coaches who come in and they take this ragtag group that doesn't have discipline and they instill discipline and they're tough, and then that team turns it around. I think of the Junction Boys, and Bear Bryant at Texas A&M. I don't think about someone coming in and softening things up. There are two types of athletes. Those that you have to tell whoa and those that you have to tell go, right? How many guys did Nick Saban put on the field that he had to go say go, play harder, do this, right? He's playing guys that have that edge already built in. They're great players that play at that edge that you have to say whoa to. Like, chill out a little bit, play more under control because you're going so hard. And so that's the difference is I feel like Alabama now is sort of fostering an environment of go and not whoa. And if you're a coach, Dan, I don't have to tell you this. You want to say whoa to players like, oh, I love it, but let's knock it back just a tad instead of saying, hey, go, play hard, run hard to the football, don't jog, don't carry your damn cell phone out to the field. You don't want that.
I used to tell my coaches when they were recruiting, do we have to speed them up or do we have to slow them down? And I'm not only talking about on the field. I'm talking about, do we got to wake his ass up to get him to the weight room? All that kind of stuff. No, you're absolutely right. If I got to speed you up in your life, if you're a dull person, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, nothing great is ever accomplished without enthusiasm, and he's right. And I watched, and I watched Alabama, and I thought to myself, truthfully though, Chad, I didn't think North Carolina had any talent, and I thought North Carolina was, and I don't know shit, but I thought North Carolina was undisciplined, unathletic, slow on defense in particular. I thought they looked uncoached, poorly coached, and I don't know nothing about football coaching.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you think that, and I'm with you on that, but I keep hearing that all they spent time on was fundamentals. That they spent so much time on the fundamentals when Bill Belichick got there. And I'm with you, Dan. Like, I'm not a football coach either, but I watch that game and I think, I don't see a very fundamentally sound team to spend all of spring and all of fall camp on the fundamental basics. They're not really getting the fundamental basics right at North Carolina either. And, yeah, I think Alabama's very talented. They're going to beat some really good teams this year, and I think they're going to lose another game or two against a team they should not lose to this year because of everything we're talking about with just the overall mentality of that program, which has slipped since Nick Saban left, which was going to happen naturally.
Yeah, but this is pretty dramatic.
Yes.
Like that whole thing, 4 games and 4 losses in 14 games to unranked as opposed to 4 in 17 years. Damn. Are you calling for one of those losses was Louisiana Monroe way back, maybe Saban's first game. I was making fun of a player at Indiana named DJ White from Alabama. I was coaching with Sampson then. Are we calling for an upset? Does Louisiana Monroe get it done again 17, 18 years later?
This is not the 07 UL Monroe Warhawks team entering the stadium on Saturday. So
okay.
I don't even know if that team's any good, honestly. I don't really remember anything about that team. But, no, I think they're gonna bounce back well enough to win this one. But it's just going to be this roller coaster. Once again, I really think that because a year ago, I mean, look how good DeBoer looked in that first half against Georgia. Look how good they looked at LSU blowing them out. They're going to have some moments where all that talent comes together, and then they're going to have Saturday happen again, where they look unenthused, they look undisciplined, they look like they did against Vandy a year ago, where that was no fluke, where Vandy just manhandled them. They're going to have games like that too, and no Alabama fan is going to accept that.
Nope. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks.
All right, Dan.
I'm going to send you some bets. My man, the sack man, is gold in the NFL. I'm sending you everything.
I will gladly accept them. Thank you, Dan.
You see you, brother. There he goes. Chad Withrow, hot mic. All right, I want to get to this story. This is just one of those deals where it's one of those deals where I always say things that make you go, huh. Remember that song, Things That Make You Go, huh, huh, things that make you go, huh. We got Tommy Tuberville coming up, but I got to get to this story, man. I do. And I'm trying to find it here. I just lost it. This is unbelievable. And I don't blame the player at all. Cliff Frazier is a player on the Yankees. He's a former player. Former New York Yankee Cliff Frazier had words for his former manager, Aaron Boone, who was spotted attending Bill Belichick's debut game as head coach of North Carolina while the Yankees are fighting to make the playoffs. Biggest 2-week stretch of the season, and this dude is at a football game with his hoodie around his waist. So let me read into that for you. Basically, he's saying the guy doesn't work. That's the first part. Second part is he thinks he's a pussy. Excuse me, Mom. He thinks he's soft, thinks he's a baby, thinks he's one of those guys that isn't tough enough to coach. That's the reference to hoodie around his waist. That's the reference. That's what he's saying. He had to put that in. Who cares what he's wearing? But he wanted to. He needed to. And he put that in because he wanted to explain to you, me, and everybody else that Aaron Boone is not a very tough guy. I would argue Aaron Boone's a very tough guy. I mean, you hit a home run to walk off the World Series. I mean, what the hell? ALCS. That's pretty good. And you do it against the Red Sox, and you become Aaron effing Boone. And I sat in a green room with him one time and had a blast. I like Aaron Boone. Big fan. But Clint Frazier isn't wrong. What are you doing? Like, you know, I'm not really big on optics. I'm not. And I'm not really big when people say, well, that's a bad look. Or I got to tell you, as a coach, my demand was always that players work exceptionally hard above and beyond. And I push players beyond their limit, much to my demise, probably. But can't imagine with 2 weeks to go in the season, I know it's an off day, going to a football game where you know you're going to be on TV. It's just bad optics, and I don't even get into optics much. I don't. New Carolina Panthers wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, the most unlikely looking wide receiver in the history of the NFL, missed over 10 calls from head coach Dave Canales, general manager Dan Morgan, and his agent about signing with the team because his daughter had his cell and was ignoring calls so she could watch Bluey. Here's Renfrow discussing this matter.
And my daughters were in the car. Like, I was right outside the car. I wouldn't just leave them in there. But I guess I had like 10 minutes phone calls from Dan, Dave, my agent, and they were all just ignored. My daughter was watching Bluey or something. She so got back in the car and had that conversation, I guess. Looking on Thursday maybe. And then just made sure that this is what I wanted to do. Made sure that this is where I wanted to be, which I was pretty sure of it. But just wanted a couple days to kind of make sure it was good with my wife and my family to go and give everything I got to it.
Hunter, Dave.
There you go. Unlikely. We got a crazy man. We do. Remember Ryan Ruth? Ryan Ruth is the man that attempted to assassinate Trump while he was playing golf in Florida. Well, he's about to present himself at trial for the assassination attempt. His latest court following is a doozy. Ryan Ruth, the accused would-be assassin of Donald Trump, challenged the president to a round of golf with deadly consequences in a bizarre court filing on Tuesday. Representing himself in the case, he submitted 3 filings to the court, all of which were filled with unusual sentiments and riddled with typos. In one filing, he asked for access to female strippers. Yeah, and a putting green. Yeah. Give me a bunch of female strippers, a putting green, and we'll figure out what hole we're putting into. Suggested that he, Mom, and Trump play around the golf. Around, R-O-U-N-G, of golf with a racist pig. He wins, he can execute me. I win, I get his job. That's a good idea. Ruth also suggested he could fight Trump. I think a beatdown session would be more fun and entertaining for everyone, F-O-R. Give me shackles and cuffs and let the old fat man give it his worst. People are nuts. We knew that. Look, if you're going to lay in weeds, try to assassinate the president, we already know you're crazy. If you hear screaming, it's because I'm going to the bathroom. Oh, I love talking to Coach Tuberville. I do. I do. U.S. Senator from Alabama, going to be the governor of Alabama. But let's talk some football. I had Lou Holtz on yesterday, and it went completely viral. He has a thing with Ryan Day. It's unbelievable, and now everybody and the mother's mad. But he made a statement that I'm going to ask you. Game 1, we saw Arch Manning struggle. We saw Alabama struggle. We saw Florida State get a massive win. We saw great game. When, as a coach, do you kind of sort of know what you have as a team?
Well, until you get 3 or 4 games into the season, because sometimes you don't start out with a real tough game, and you know this. And so you just overmatch them. It's not how you play. It's just the talent. But now with this NIL and with all this money being thrown around, people want to make more money. And so their schedules are a lot tougher. And there's all these opening games now, Dan, that are played $2, $3, $4, $5 million to each team just for programming. And so it makes for, I would guess, a better schedule. I ran into this same problem. And we all know you never know until you start playing how you're going to play together as a team, especially football now. You're talking about 55 to 60 guys that have to play a big part in a game. I was unanimous number 1 back in 2003, and 22 years ago. And we opened the season with USC at home, and Reggie Bush and several other All-Americans that played a long time in the NFL. And we lost. I think it was 20-0 at home. That didn't go over very well. And then the next week, I went to one of our rival games in Atlanta, played Georgia Tech, and Chan Gailey. They weren't supposed to be very good, but they were, and we lost that game. So I found out pretty quick, hey, if you're ranked high, you better bring your lunch when you come to a press conference, and you've had a loss. And so it happens to everybody. You stay in it long enough, it's going to happen. And, we saw several teams like Texas and Alabama and several other teams that the highest expectations are there. But again, you don't know. And you really don't know now with this NIL nonsense we got going on.
You think coaches, like Nick Saban and others are getting out straight because of the NIL? And, you've been at the forefront of this, I think, Manchin and you. What's going on with any congressional input into the NIL world? Well,
we've got to do something. I mean, this is nonsense. First of all, what is college about? It's about education. Well, there's zero of that going on, when it comes to NIL. I mean, this transfer portal, all the things. And I visited, we had a big press conference in the Oval Office Tuesday with President Trump. And afterwards, I told him, I said, Mr. President, you watch games this weekend? He said, yeah. He says, NIL's a mess in it. I said, yeah, it's a mess. We got to do something. We got to help out. And he can do that. And he wants to do it. He wants to help. But he wants to help make sure that we have sports, Olympic and women's sports, that survive this nonsense. The football and basketball men's are going to survive, but you're going to start losing men and women's sports in terms of Olympic sports. And he's a coach. We've got the Olympics in a few years. If we don't have college sports to train these swimmers and divers and people in Olympic sports, it's going to be a disaster for us. I said, exactly, Mr. President. You hit it right on the head. So I'm still meeting with some of his staff. We're trying to come up with something to to implement, and I would love for him to get involved in it. You know, the money's there. So, but we've got to protect pay for play and this damn transfer portal. My God, if you can transfer to one school, take money, and then before the season even starts, well, I don't like it, or I'm going to transfer somewhere else for even more money. We've lost it. We've lost total control. So, I'm hoping we get something done in the very near future. But again, we've got to do it the right way. I want to work with the NCAA. I want to work with the Coaches Association. I want to work for men's and women's sports and Olympic sports, all of them, to do it all right. First of all, we got to start about education. If we get away from that, it's over. And then we've got to work towards making a possibility for everybody to have a level playing field.
All right, Coach, big news. You mentioned being with Donald Trump. I didn't know this. I've traveled a lot down I-65 through Huntsville, Alabama, and I always love seeing that rocket ship there when you're driving. Hey, Space Command is back. It's back in Alabama, Coach. That's a big deal out of Colorado. Screw Colorado, run by a bunch of crazy people. Get it back to some common sense in Alabama, Coach.
Well, first of all, let's do something by merit. That doesn't happen very often in federal government. And there were 66 cities 5 years ago, Coach, that were up for this placement of the Space Command Center. Now, Space Command is not a direct entity with the military, other than it oversees everything from the Army, Navy, Marines, the Air Force, anything that goes into space, NASA. It's controlled by Space Command. And President Trump came up with this idea. The next war will be handled pretty much from space, from satellites and lasers and all those things. We're behind. Okay, we've wasted 20 years in these crazy wars we've been in, and trillions of dollars, and we're behind. And so thank goodness President Trump moved it back to a place that, first of all, is secure. We have Redstone Arsenal. We have 40,000 military people behind the wall. We have the FBI now behind the wall. We have Missile Defense Agency behind the wall. We have NASA, 200 defense contractors. We build missiles. We build rockets. And so it's only right that it's there. It should have been, but it got political with Joe Biden, and but now it's coming back to where it should be. If Colorado would have been the best place, even being a senator from Alabama, I'd say, listen, we got to protect this country. But Huntsville, Alabama is the place for it, always has been, and so we're proud it's back.
Yeah, hey, Coach, what would, you're going to be governor. What's going to be the first thing you attack?
Well, the first thing you got to take pride in your state. You got to have safe streets and neighborhoods. That's what President Trump has done. You know, this hellhole up here in Washington, D.C., I've been here 5 years, and I carry a golf club with me when I walk in the afternoon or jog, or when I'm walking to work sometimes. I carry something to make sure that you can't be attacked, because we have interns, we have staffers that are attacked here all the time. We have mentally ill people everywhere. Law enforcement can't do it on their own. Of course, up here in D.C., we have a blue socialist mayor and city council that they want to defund the police. Everything's good. We have more murders here than Bogota, Colombia. Okay, so you got to have a safe state, and that's what we're going to do when I take over. We got to put discipline back in your state. You got to have pride in your state. You got to have people that feel like that they can roam the neighborhood, go around. Because if you lose the security of your neighborhood, you have nothing. I don't care how rich you are or educated; it makes no difference. So we're going to put a lot of sense of reality back into the state. And then Governor Ivey's done a good job, but I'm looking forward to making different decisions, because I've seen what's happened, and I'm a true believer of discipline first, like you were when you were coaching.
Coach, when you look at your career, coming in with the perspective that you have as a coach, I've always, my kids are athletes. I'd hire athletes today, tomorrow, the next day. Coaches, they understand discipline, being on time. What's the biggest impact you've had, in your opinion, while you've been in Washington?
Well, you know as well as anybody that as a coach, time was very important to you, and especially when you're controlling whether it's 20 people on a basketball team, 120 on a football team. as I would explain to the players, one person is late for a meeting, one person is late for a bus, one person puts everybody else in harm's way in terms of not getting to a place on time, it could be a disaster. And so we all had that 5-minute rule. Be 5 minutes early. I think a lot of our young men and women need to understand that now, that hopefully they're learning that in sports and what other places, military. We've got those two places that we can lean on. But we have so many people nowadays that don't understand the word no. You can't do that. You got to do it this way. It's our state, our country is becoming more and more of opinion than doing what is actually the way you should do it to be a good American.
Can you explain to me? I grew up in Gary, Indiana. My house got firebombed, a Molotov cocktail. Guy threw it at my house, started our garage on fire, multiple break-ins. I was a scared kid. I'm not going to lie. I was a pussy, whatever you want to call me. I was a scared kid. A little girl got murdered right behind my house. Can you explain to me why the American people are protesting, or some American people are protesting what Donald Trump is doing in our cities to make them safe? And can you explain to me why Democrats continue to be on the wrong side of a 90-10 issue? 90% of people got to be for this. 10% are protesting. Why do Democrats, liberals continue on the wrong side of 90-10 issues?
Well, people ask me about that of some of these mayors that are just absolutely refusing to go along with what President Trump wants to do, restore law and order. And I said there's three things. They're either corrupt, they're mentally repaired, or they're stupid. And you look at the mayor in Chicago. Hey, we're not having a problem. We got 8 people murdered last weekend and 50 shot, but we don't have a problem. They might not be a problem where he lives, but on the south side of Chicago, they got a damn problem, and that needs to be taken care of. They are American citizens too. They are people that deserve protection. If people want to live a good life, they don't want to have gunshots in their windows or in their cars or drugs being sold on the streets. But these liberals don't look at it like that. They just want everybody to be happy-go-lucky. And I can imagine one of these mayors running a football team or a basketball team trying to win a game, just rolling the ball out and say, look, y'all practice however long you want, do what you need to do. They'd be fired after the first 2 weeks. But these politicians, most of them have never had a job. They've never had to learn anything like that. And if you look at President Trump grew up under a very strict dad. His dad really pushed ethics and a moral attitude into him, and work ethic on all that. And my dad did the same thing to me, and sometimes you don't like it growing up, but you have to be able to understand that discipline, and taking that discipline and making everything about doing things the right way, being a good person, being a good American, being a good family or father or mother, all those things are important. That's the reason we're here. We're not here to say that, hey, just happy-go-lucky, do what you want to do, live your life the way you want to live it. No, we got a Constitution, we got laws. And if we don't go by those, we're going to lose our country.
It's amazing people are arguing against it. Like, what are you arguing against? Getting shot? What are you doing? Coach, I know you got to get going. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Auburn with a big win. You got to be neutral, though, because you're running for governor.
Well, I love sports, Coach, and you love sports. So win or lose, is what it is. I love, but I want sports to be fair for everybody, men and women. And that's the reason we talked earlier about, and we got to get this, and we got to put some parameters on it. Right now, it's the Wild Wild West, and we've got to give these kids a chance to compete. And right now, it's not a fair playing field.
It's amazing. I saw Malcolm Gladwell and others are now switching over, saying girls shouldn't be competing against boys. They're all chicken shit, and they all know the tide has turned because of guys like you and Donald Trump. You've turned the tide, and now people are trying to get on the right side. You did, Coach. You are very important at that, and I appreciate you. I know you got to run. I don't want to keep you. Thank you, as always, for your time.
All right. God bless you, Coach. Good to see you. Let's talk soon.
Yes, sir. There he goes, the great Tommy Tuberville. He's made a hell of a difference by standing up and speaking for women not having to play against men. We'll see you tomorrow.